Hi. I was just sitting here looking at my phone. Um, as I was looking at it, I was, really thinking about it and wondering exactly how many times have I opened my phone or even my laptop for one thing, such as, wanting to search for a specific piece of information, but then found myself endlessly scrolling through one of my social media accounts while never having actually found that piece of information that I initially set out to look for. It happens all the time, and I'm positive I'm not the only one that it happens to. Um, Especially with social media, the algorithms pull you in, and before you know it, you're almost in this trance-like state. And you're scrolling through, horror after horror. You're seeing all this division, people arguing, bickering back and forth. And, a lot of times when you're done, you're exhausted or you're tense or even frustrated. Um, for the longest time, I was resistant to social media because media as a whole uh, tends to have a negative influence on me. I don't like commercials, advertisements. There's actually been long stretches in my life where I have went without any real knowledge of what was going on in the world around me because I just simply avoided it because I didn't like the way it made me feel inside. I mean, I would have no idea what was going on, like on the world stage or even nationally, if people were talking about some big news story. I would honestly have no idea what they were talking about. Um, However, I used social media initially to keep in touch with family and good friends who were separated from me by distance. And I was also a published fictional author under my real name. Bet you didn't guess that Spiritus Flumen is not really my birth name. But I was a published fictional author, and for my books, my publishers expected me to have social media accounts, and quite honestly, it was just overwhelming for me. But so like I said, I was resistant at first, but now I'm just like everyone else with like your at least couple social media accounts. I try not to have too many because, quite honestly, I just like emotionally and psychologically can't keep up with it. Uh, that's just me. But yeah, going back, that endless scrolling. It's easy to refer to it as toxic. You see this in like reports all the time. And because of that, it can lead to feelings of guilt, especially if you are putting off something that you should have been doing, but instead you're sitting there scrolling through your social media account. Um, However, through alchemy, actually need to reframe that because just feeling that negative feeling of guilt isn't really constructive for the most part. So if we reframe that as undigested information, um, can reframe it as emotional overload, or if you want to get a little more abstract, it can be even our collective shadow uh, rising to the surface in real time. Um, and alchemy, the prima materia, can look really chaotic, dark, and impure, which is a lot like our news feeds. So we need to consider what happens when we try to swallow all of that whole. If we continue that particular analogy, doom scrolling is kind of like overeating, only instead of food, we're intaking stimulus. And quite honestly, our nervous systems really don't know what to do with 400 tragedies in 12 minutes. We can't metabolize outrage on a large scale. Um, so this confuser? Let me try that again. What was I trying to say? Basically, it makes our subconscious confuse exposure with engagement. Now, one thing to keep in mind is when, especially if you are looking at news sites or actual like news feeds, that it makes the world look to be a much darker place than what it is. I honestly believe the vast majority of people are good. We just want to pay our bills, love our families, and live our lives. But, people like that, we're not click worthy. The point of any online site, for the most part, is profit, and so they're not going to put on all these articles about basically people living daily lives. Instead, they take the outlier situations, the brutal murders, the you know travesties and tragedies. And the thing about that is when you are constantly exposed to them over and over and over and over, it does begin to seem like the norm. And it results into I don't know if it's a condition, it's a psychological effect called mean world syndrome, where people think the world is a lot worse of a place than what it actually is. This is one of the reasons why we want to apply alchemy here, because alchemy, going back to our eating analogy, alchemy becomes digestion. You don't stop eating, you just learn how to chew, perhaps more slowly. Constant scrolling can burn your attention right down to ash, but so does the alchemical stage of calcination. And in alchemy, ash is useful residue that basically tells us what was burned away. When we're scrolling, what's being burned away is time, our sense of calm, our focus, and honestly, usually even our imagination. Now, this is no way judgmental. This is just an observation. Like I said, I am, just as guilty as this as anyone else. A lot of articles will suggest a, digital detox, excuse me, so to speak. But I don't think that's appropriate here, as in alchemy, it's more of refinement rather than rejection. So when you open a social media site or app, immediately ask yourself, before you even start scrolling, why am I here? Now, again, there's no judgment. You just look for an honest answer. Why are you there on that social media account? And, consider it. Then I want you to look at one meaningful interaction. Just one post. Don't skim 20. Just read one. I don't know why this just popped into my head, but circling back around what we were talking about, mean world syndrome, and how you just get this steady stream of atrocities. One of the strategies I used, I really love raccoons. I really do. And my little dog, Mochi, he is a Pomeranian, and I think Pomeranians are just cute as hell. So I have purposefully joined a lot of raccoon and Pomeranian groups on my Facebook account, and I regularly interact with those groups, even if it's just, clicking like on a picture, sharing, something I find particularly funny or cute. And I do that because I want to train the algorithm so that every few posts I see something about my raccoons or Pomeranians, and it almost serves as a palate cleanser. Um, so yeah, like I said, I don't know why that popped into my head. But that is a strategy I use that's really important to me because, like media tends to amplify projection of, outrage and, comparison, envy, moral performance. We often use social media as a dark mirror where, we can see like the more baser aspects of ourselves. It may not even be obvious, but again, with that comparison, like everyone puts their best foot forward. Well, most everyone on social media. So, you might see someone who projects the image of a perfect homemaker and look around and think, well, my place is so cluttered and such a mess. So that's what I'm referring to there. But what happens if we treat each post as a clear mirror instead of a dark mirror? What if we use it to really explore ourselves? Because again, alchemy integrates our shadows instead of seeking to destroy it. Trying to destroy your shadow side just doesn't work. Trust me on that. So, of course, I have a ritual designed to, help us achieve that. I call it the ritual of refining the feed, and it should be performed when you're tempted to grab your phone or laptop to go to one of your social media accounts. So when you feel that urge, you'll want to, if need be, change your location. Go sit somewhere quiet. With your phone, I want you to take your phone and place it face down in front of you. Don't hold it in your hand. Have it laying down like on a tabletop in front of you. And then you'll take one slow breath and just notice if you have an impulse to reach for that phone. Again, there's no shame, there's no judgment here. We're simply working with observation because alchemy begins with what is actually present. After that, you'll turn your phone face up, but before unlocking your phone, like we'd mentioned earlier, ask yourself, why am I opening this? Now, don't ask yourself this sarcastically. Don't ask it judgmentally. Just try to identify your emotional state. Are you bored? Are you lonely and seeking connection? Are you going to social media in an attempt to avoid something else that maybe you really don't want to think about or deal with at the present moment? Are you trying to feel better informed? There are many, many different reasons why we turn to our social media accounts, but what is important here is that we identify why and we name it honestly, because the answer we have there will be the raw material that we're working with. Once your motivation has been determined, then you'll unlock your phone and choose one app deliberately. Resist any impulses to open any others, just one of your social media accounts. And you'll want to open the app very mindfully and slowly. Think of it as entering a room that you're unfamiliar with and you're not sure what's on the other side of that door. It could be something good, it could be something dangerous. So just open it mindfully and slowly. And focus on your breathing. You don't have to visualize any energy work. Just be mindful and aware of your breathing. After that, you'll scroll no more than 5 posts. After each individual post, take a moment to pause and notice what emotions arose from that post. For example, did you have tension that shifted somewhere in your body? Is there anything that just lingered and stuck in your mind, any type of emotional triggers. Again, there no judgment, especially of the content. We are just digesting that content and analyzing and observing it. So if one of the posts triggers an emotional reaction, especially a strong one, uh, especially a strong negative one, say aloud to yourself, this is just information and I choose how I metabolize it. Like I said, you go through 5 posts, stopping to do that between every one. After the 5th post, stop and close your app intentionally. Don't drift off to another. Fight the urge to continue scrolling, even if, like, you can see the top of another, like a 6th post below your 5, and it looks really interesting. You can come back to that later. For now, just place your phone face down again and take one full breath. Now, ask yourself, did this nourish me? Did it numb me? Did it agitate me? There's no right or wrong answer. We're just looking at the data here. I should note that if you begin to feel overwhelmed while looking through those 5 posts, because it's easy to do, it might help to just close your eyes and visualize that content dissolving into neutral ash. See that ash settle, then imagine your attention gathering back into a small, steady flame in the center of your chest. The flame is, note that it's not extinguished, but it's not raging either. The flame should just simply be present and just burning steadily. Then, regardless of whether you do the overwhelming portion where this is looping back to the main ritual, that was just an aside. But next, you'll place one hand on the table where your phone is and the other over your chest. The goal here is to feel something physical. Notice the solidity of the wood on the table. Notice the weight of your body in your chair, the rhythm of your breath. We are entirely trying to return our attention back to the physical body and outside that world of data and information. This is similar to the alchemical process of coagulation. We're basically making our attention solid again, which is important because attention truly is sacred, not in a grandiose way, but in a very practical way. There's a axiom that is used in spiritual communities a lot, that energy flows where attention goes. And that is true on a psychological level just as much as it would be on a metaphysical level. Our attention is where life happens. Our attention dictates what we become. Our attention shapes our memory. Attention is very important, which is why so many times in these videos I mention mindfully doing stuff. You want to control your attention, not allow algorithms or corporations or content to control it for you. The important thing to realize with this whole ritual is that to alchemize social media isn't escaping it, but we are refining our attention and we are choosing how we allow it to shape us. So until next time, scroll intentionally. Scroll intentionally. I don't know why I had such trouble to say it. Anyhow, scroll intentionally. Remember to be mindfully present in the moment. Remember to take a moment to breathe. And, as always, walk in peace and light, my friends.